I'm aware now that it's not about him.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship between me and my inner self.
It's about your perception of the us. It is about him, but it's about what you think about him more than it is what he thinks about anything or what he does. In other words, your point of attraction really is about your perception or your perspective and how well or not well it intertwines with your inner being's perspective.
So I'm in this relationship. I chose to just focus on what feels good, kind of like the positive aspects. I'm asking my inner being about this relationship. How do you see this situation that I often feel challenged, or not just challenged, but...
Well, the thing is, if in the moment of feeling challenged, when you ask your inner being how your inner being sees it, you can't hear what your inner being says. It's like, tell me something that I'm not a vibrational match to so that I can understand it. The thing that we really want you to hear, and it's easy, you'll get this, but it'll make a big difference because you've been after this and it's good. What you're doing is good. When you ask the question and when you hear the answer, it's rarely in the same moment, because the question is one vibrational frequency and the answer is another. So put your questions out there. You're doing that all the time, especially in moments of discomfort. That's when you really ask the questions. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So then the list of positive aspects puts you in the place of hearing the answers. Stay with us, because this is going to surprise everyone, especially you. You think that what we're saying to you is that you never should leave, that you absolutely should stay no matter what. That's not what we're saying. You think that we're saying that everything that happens is completely up to you and that you should just endure and you should figure this out no matter what kind of response you get from somebody else. That's not what we're saying. This is the part that we really, really want you to hear. Let's say that you've just been making lists of positive aspects and you've been focused upon them. So it's good. It feels good when you do it. Also, when you shine a strong light on the good feeling end of the stick, every time that person's doing something that isn't a match to those positive aspects, that light's been shined too. In other words, that's the asking part, isn't it? You're asking. And almost everybody thinks that what you're asking for is that if you can make enough lists of positive aspects, that somehow the universe will turn that person into that list.
Doesn't it work?
Does it? Does it? What happens is the law of attraction helps you to rendezvous with that more. But your role, your right, your work is not to cause modification in another so that your observation of them feels better. Your work is to blend so consistently with your inner being's point of view that you're able to feel compassion. We're going to define that for you here. Compassion for those who are living something that you'd rather they weren't living. Compassion is really what step 4 is. Step 1 is ask. Step 2 is source answers. Step 3 is you find a way of letting that in. Step 4 is you're really good at it. You've practiced enough. And then step 5 is you're seeing something that you don't want, but it's not yanking your chain, because you're intertwined with your inner being who doesn't need anybody to be different in order to feel love. Doesn't need compliance or cooperation, because until you get there, you're in trouble in the world, because there are always going to be rascals, because there are always those who have the right to live a way that they're choosing, and you can't change them. In other words, you can't enforce it. You can't want it enough for them to change, but you can want to feel good enough that you can be inner being like and love anyway. And then usually they begin morphing in the direction of not just your desire, but your and your inner being's desire. Not just your desire, but your and your inner being and his inner being. In other words, this is really what the power of influence is. This is why when you stood before Jesus dripping your illness it could dissolve in moments, because he did not see your illness. He saw you. He saw you, but he did not see your illness. He did not see what needed to be changed. He saw you and knew it so powerfully that for the time that you were in his presence, you took on the characteristics of what he was seeing. And then he said, go forth and tell no one. They'll talk you out of it. You go home and talk about this. They'll get you focused back on whatever it was that encouraged the illness to begin with.